What a crazy couple of chapters we've had between the last one and this one. Boy, man, I really like this Admiral guy. Like, I hate him, but I love to hate him. One Piece, chapter 321, One-on-One. Woohoo, man! Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on another wonderful chapter of the tantalizing and chilly and just awesomely woven tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with really the Straw Hats being just completely overmatched by Admiral Aokiji and his powers. I mean, just insane the amount of power this guy has. And really, the chapter ended off with Luffy, kind of challenging him to a one-on-one fight. And then, of course, Robin had been frozen solid, and Usopp and Chopper had been tasked with getting her back to the ship and trying to thaw her out before she dies, So, man, just insane. So that's where the chapter left off. The chapter picks up with them actually back on the ship as far as, Chopper and Usopp, and they're trying desperately to warm her up and thaw her out, with warm water and what have you, but not to do it too quickly either, in the fear that they'll kill her, harm her, crack her, or whatever. I mean, nobody's ever dealt with anybody that's been frozen solid before, and do it like an ice cube. So as they're doing that, then all of a sudden, a few minutes later, the other three come running along: Sanji, Zoro, and Nami, and they come running along. Zoro and Sanji, of course, have had parts of their arms and legs frozen, so they obviously they came back, and Usopp's like, "What's going on? Why are you guys back?" And they're like, "He wanted to fight him one-on-one. Besides, we gotta thaw out our stuff, and he's like, "I'm taking care of Robin right now." So Zoro and Sanji jump in the sea, right, to go and to obviously thaw out, and then and then Usopp explains to him, it's like when you have frostbite, you got to rub the area, to obviously bring warmth to it and get the blood flowing and circulating and this and that. And then Usopp is, he's pissed off. He's chastising him. He's like, "Why would you guys leave Luffy there?" And he's like, "He's our captain. He gave us an order. He said one-on-one." And it's that fine line, I think, that you have to walk between having faith in your captain and listening to him unconditionally. And then there's those times that sometimes I feel like it's necessary to maybe go against the grain, because I know I'm the type of person that would go and tell you, "No, go ahead, go back to the ship, go do that." And I would order people away at risk of my own life, just to help to save others. Whereas if someone went and did not listen to that order, there may be the opportunity for them to come and to help and to save me to where we both come out of it alive, to where everybody does. But it's a real difficult decision to make when you think about it. And those are the kind of the troubling things that wind up getting, those are the questions that wind up just eating at me and gnawing at me. Because it's like, there's a fine line between having that trust and that confidence in your captain and then being like, "No, dude, listen, it's not about an honorable fight or anything anymore. It's about you being overmatched and I need to help you, So I can understand, though, where Zoro and Sanji are coming from, because they're like, "You don't understand, you idiot. He told us it was one-on-one fighting to go. That's what he said, So nonetheless, so that's the first portion of the chapter. The rest of it is just the cool battle, if you would even call it that, between Aokiji and Luffy, And man, it is neat because Luffy's partially frozen. Then he's able to break out of it. It seems like, and then Aokiji goes to come at him, and he's of course taller than him and everything. Luffy goes, and as he's kind of running at him, he slides and ducks under him, and then just bam, just kicks him like 50 feet up into the air. And I'm like, "Oh, fuck." And then Luffy goes and winds himself up like he did back in Alabasta, right before he took down Crocodile. And he winds himself up, and then goes and springs up and says, "Gum Gum Storm." And he's going to start that. Aokiji just goes, and it was actually a pretty cool, I had it saved over here. It was a pretty cool double-page spread, man, where he just goes and comes out. This is drawn very well, too. And this is coming from a guy who, is an aspiring artist myself, and I've read thousands of different comic books and now, hundreds of manga and everything else. So, or hundreds of chapters, I guess you should say, not individual series. But this Ice Time, man, this is cool, and it just looks cool how he's, like, coming out of this just and everything, man. It just reminds me of like Iceman from the X-Men or something like that, you know. Very, very cool stuff. And of course he winds up freezing Luffy, which is not very cool stuff. So, and then he's just like, did you really think you could beat me? And he goes on to basically, you know, to tell him that, like, listen, you don't understand, Robin is going to be a big, big problem for you. You know, you may think she's cool now, but she's going to be a big problem for you. And she's basically just got like an evil heart. What does he say? She was born with a brutal personality, and you won't be able to change that, you know. And that's rough, man. That's really rough, because guess what? I really like Robin. So, and then he goes and he does this thing where Luffy's frozen solid, man, with his about to go into his gum storm, and he's got his foot over him again, right? And then he goes, and the way this is drawn, man, I hate it, because I hate it and I love it. It's deceptive, but it's cool the way it's done. And he's just like, Monkey D. Luffy, you know, he's a great danger. Monkey D. Luffy goes and he kicks, and you're like, and the ka-chink, and you're like, son of a bitch, he just fucking kicked Luffy apart. And, you know, obviously I would think that couldn't happen, but then he's just like, I could shatter you right here, and you can see that he just kicked some of the ice that was next to him and around him, it looked like, and broke it. But anyway, I like this part too. He says, you took care of Crocodile, so now we're even. You know, because he's like, I could kill you effortlessly, but he goes, I owe you one, right? And Luffy and him have never met, but he goes, you took care of Crocodile, now we're even. So maybe he knew or suspected that Crocodile was more crooked than, you know, or whatever. Maybe just because word got back to him about, you know, Crocodile being after the Pluton, you know, or whatever. I don't know. But then he goes, and he goes, oh, never mind about Smoker's silly message. See you later. So I don't know what that is. I don't know if he means from something that Smoker said to Luffy before they left Alabasta, because I don't remember anything real profound, you know, that should have been remembered. Or if Smoker had, you know, given Aokiji a message or said, hey, or somehow said, like, in his presence when he was around him, like, yeah, I'd really like to tell Monkey D. Luffy this, you know. But anyway, I'm not really quite sure. And then we kind of get the old, you know, there he is, Luffy. And after Aokiji goes and takes off on his little bicycle riding across the water and the waves over there, they come back, they grab Luffy, Zoro and Sanji do, and because now they've, of course, been, you know, they're back in action, and they grab Luffy's ice cube ass and bring him back to the ship, you know. But then this was cool, too, and I know from everybody telling me in the comments that Water 7 is obviously the next arc that we're in, and it's really good, and all these other great things about it. But then Aokiji is like, according to the log, their next destination is, Water 7, the city of water. Oh my, this is unexpected. And then he goes, you know, tra-la-la and off riding across the sea on his bicycle. But we wind up getting, you know, the chapter ends up shortly after that. Luffy and company. Well, we find out from Chopper that Luffy and Robin are going to be fine. They're both resting right now, but, you know, basically I'm assuming that they're probably, like, close to hypothermia from just being completely frozen like that. I don't know. I don't know if that type of stuff exists in this world, but I would assume that they were probably from, like, near death, you know. And Luffy had just come out of a pretty bad fight with Foxy. Even though Foxy was a little shit, the stuff that he pulled in underhand, I mean, Luffy had been beaten, bruised, cut, blown up, you know, everything else. I mean, and of course, Zoro and Sanji, too, had been beat on pretty good like a drum. And then really no break or respite before the showdown here, if you could call it that, with Admiral Aokiji. But seeing how powerful he is right now, to me, is cool. It's a glimpse into the future. Although they're not strong enough to beat him now, unless, of course, they found a way to overcome his tactics, you know, fighting in the desert or in a volcano or something where his ice wouldn't be as effective because it would melt. It's the type of thing where you go and you can kind of see a glimpse of just like some of the bigger, badder powers that are out there. And it's cool because when you look back to like East Blue now, some of the powers that you saw back then were like, oh God, you know, Don Krieg's a big bad man. Oh, Arlong, he's the big bad man, you know. And even Crocodile and Elbas, he's a big, but now we've seen things like Enel, you know, who was never really defeated. I mean, he was just temporarily beaten, then he's flying off towards the moon, I guess. And then the Admiral, and we can only presume that the other two Admirals are just as powerful, if not more. And then, of course, the Fleet Admiral, Sengoku, we're assuming he's very powerful as well. So very, very cool stuff. And all in all, just very neat to see and excited to get into the next chapters in Water 7 and everything else. So my chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, and it's something that's kind of nagging at me, is what did Aokiji mean when he said that about did he have a message that Smoker wanted him to deliver to Luffy if he ran into him and just decided not to? Or, you know, or what? And I also wanted to mention a couple of chapters ago, too. It was funny. He was like, oh, and you're a sexy little thing, too. And he was like, you want to go out to dinner tonight? He was hitting on Nami, you know? So after he made a comment about Robin growing out to be beautiful, too. So not only is he this admiral and he's got all these ice powers and everything like that, but he thinks he's a smooth-ass pimp, too, you know? So either that or he's an older pervert. I don't know. Not really sure how old he's supposed to be, but, you I'm assuming, in his 30s or maybe later. So, but nonetheless, though, at the end of the chapter 2, we get, Luffy and Robin are laying in the, down in the ship there, and they're laying on beds, beside each other. And as they're laying, and Luffy's just probably passed out, sleeping, dreaming about food and whatnot, Robin has her eyes open and just kind of sitting there with this look on her face, Robin intrigues me the most, I think. Maybe because we haven't seen much of her background, and it seems like there's just so much to her. But Robin, for me right now, that's definitely that's my dark horse. That's the one that I'm taking for. If I had one crew member to come and hang out with me and live the rest of their lives with me, whatever. If I had to choose one crew member, it'd be Robin. So, but let me know what your answer is to that question, of course, about what Aokiji brought up. As far as the message from Smoker, because it might have just been something that I forgot about or missed from Alabasta. Those type of things happen, and sometimes I need to be reminded. Or it may be something that's a little bit bigger that's revealed, 50 chapters from now or whatever. Then you can just say, hey, spoiler, whatever, and we'll talk about something else. Then, of course, tell me what you liked about the chapter, the arc itself, what have you. Leave answers down below. Get comment and question, all kind of things going there. Feel free to hit thumbs up, like button, if you think that I deserve it, and certainly it definitely helps things out, And subscribe if you have not done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation. Well, if you like watching videos of me talking, you can welcome to What the hell did you just say? I said if you're welcome to follow me over on my other channel, as well as Facebook and Twitter.